invite all the people that haven't spoken yet up on stage that wish to speak. And so for those who don't know, Momentum is a youth conference that our church's fellowship comes to every year, and it's been going on for years and years and years and years. And so, we are just blessed to be going to that still. This year, it was the largest since 2019, so over 2,400 people were there. So was a good, fun time, and I'll let them get started on what some of our group thought of it whenever they went. So, Sarah, you're on the end. You get to start.
Hello, I am Sarah. For those of you who don't know, where have you been? I'm very loud. You probably heard me yell at my friends that I was happy for them last week. I have been going to Momentum for about 6 years now as a leader and a student. And this is the first year that I felt like a true leader, because this was a much younger age group than I was used to. But these are still people I know and care about, and it was incredible to see them grow. And two people that did come to God, I'm going to let them say who that was. And it's always an incredible experience. And the concerts are always great. Playing in the quad is fun, meeting new people. It's the happiest little place, and it's great. But my favorite part, by far, is going to Momentum with like a smallish group that feels like a family, because they feel like your true brothers and sisters for a week, and you get to know them better. So that's my favorite part. I will give this.
Oh, Lord, okay. This is really weird for me. I say Momentum was really good, sorry. The best thing about Momentum is when I went to the cross and I gave everything to Jesus. Because I didn't think Jesus was real for the longest time. And the hardest part of that week was when I got a call from my brother and he wasn't doing okay. And me, Erica, prayed as hard as we could, and then I got a text the next day that my brother was okay. So that was a relief. But one thing that was my favorite part about Momentum is being able to praise, listen to the music, and just that's when I felt super close to God. But yeah.
Hi, so I'm Ivy, and this was my second year going to Momentum, and it was still just as or even more life-changing as it was the first year. This year, the theme was invited, and it's the fact that we are invited into God's kingdom. We just have to accept that invitation. The sermons and the pastors, they were just so amazing. They opened my eyes on a lot of things. We had a night where it was just worship, where we didn't have a speaker. And it was such a powerful night because we were just able to pray and worship and feel the presence of God. And I definitely felt it that night. I feel like every single person in that room did. There was a moment where they had us pray and kneel, and we all kneeled in the whole auditorium, and it was so amazing. I didn't realize the difference standing or kneeling whenever you're praying, and it just you're just laying everything out to God, and I really thought that was such an amazing thing. And they had us pray for God to reveal to us sins in our lives, because then after that, we do this sometimes at Good Friday here, but there was a cross at the front of the room, and there was papers in all of our seats, and then we would write it down, fold it up, and bring it down to the cross. And they were playing music, and we were singing with it, and it just felt like a weight was gone. And it was such a beautiful thing to see all the people in the room confess their sins and lay it out on the cross. So Momentum was such an amazing time, and this group it did feel like a family. I didn't want to leave, so yeah, you guys should come if you haven't.
Hi, I'm Evelyn, and this was my first year at Momentum, and it was completely beyond my expectation. Like, I did not expect to leave and my heart be, like, completely different towards God and just completely, like, transformed. When I left Momentum, like, God just spoke to me, like over and over, and I've never felt God continuously speaking to me. And it was just truly beautiful. And then at worship night, when we wrote down on our cards, like, our sins, and we just laid it at the cross and just worshiped God. Just being surrounded by so many people who love Jesus, and just, like Ivy said, like, took a weight off their shoulders, because God truly does that. And you can just give anything to him, and that was so beautiful. And then one of my favorite parts of Momentum was when everything was over at the night and we all sat in a group and talked and debriefed everything. Just seeing how God moved in everybody's lives separately, and just seeing how everyone's perspective was different, but how God saved people, transformed people, just changed their heart. And like, leaving Momentum, we all had like this feeling where we just wanted to share the gospel to everyone, and it was amazing.
Hi, so my name is Violet, and this is my first year at Momentum. Let me just start out by saying that Momentum is a great experience. Momentum is fun, and most importantly, you come back from it feeling closer to God, but you also come back feeling like better friends with everyone else who went to Momentum. I was not a big note taker, but during Momentum, I wrote down almost every word anyone said because I didn't want to miss it, and I wanted to remember it forever. My favorite part of Momentum was the worship night. That was my favorite part because I look around and I see people who I don't even know just raising their hands and singing their hearts out and just worshiping. I was one of those people just raising my hand and singing my heart out. There was one night where at the night session we didn't have a speaker and we just worshiped the whole time. I loved it, and then we all took something that was keeping us from God and wrote it down on a piece of paper, and then we laid it at the cross. And I just felt like a weight came off my shoulders. It was a wonderful feeling, and I feel like there are 3 really important reasons why people should go. 1, you get closer to God and your friends. 2, you can feel God moving in people and you will be drawn to God. And 3, you will have the time of your life. You really should go to Momentum.
Hi, I'm Erica, and I was one of the leaders. I'd never been to Momentum before, but my older daughter Autumn went for years, and Ivy went last year. And so I truly didn't know what to expect. Like, I'd heard, this, it was amazing, but like, I didn't really know what it would be like. And I think it was Evelyn who said it, that it just like greatly exceeded my expectations. Number 1, for the opportunity to get to be with these kids. Oh my gosh, these are amazing people. Like, it was such a privilege to get to be there with these youth and to see the Lord working in their hearts and working in their lives and breaking down barriers in their hearts and things that they've held on to that they thought they needed, that they were ready to get rid of because God didn't want to enter in their lives. It was amazing to see what God was doing in big ways at Momentum. But God also worked in my heart too. And I felt like I needed Momentum. I felt like I had come into Momentum feeling like not super close to Jesus. Like, and I knew it was me. There's no thought in my mind that God was far away. I knew he was with me and close, but I just felt like there was some barriers there. And I felt like for me that God used Momentum to just draw me back into that close relationship with him that I always want to have, that I don't ever want to lose. And I had written down, like, after the week, just a few key takeaways that I got from the messages from the speakers, because the speakers were unbelievable. It's like just the most, I think I said this before, the messages were almost aggressive. Like it wasn't like, well, maybe tomorrow you might think about making some of these changes or doing this. And, they were like, now, today, this is what you need to do, and straight out of the Bible. And so I needed that. I needed to be told today, not tomorrow, not wait. So these are some of the key takeaways that I got. When we talked about that worship night where everybody wrote something down and all of us were just praying like, Lord, what is it? What is it? For me, it's pride, and so I'm just confessing that to the church. I know I'm not the only one that struggles with pride, and so that is the thing that God needs to just dismantle in my heart. But true worship is when I forget completely about myself and think only of God. I find that hard to do when I'm up here. I have a hard time not thinking about myself and not thinking about how we sound and how people are perceiving it. And I felt like that night when we were all worshiping together was maybe the first night I truly worshiped God. There was a moment where I realized I'd forgotten about that sin that I was supposed to be praying about. And I was like, oh, shoot, Lord, I forgot about it. And then I was like, wait a minute, I forgot about it because I was only thinking about Jesus. And so that's what that's supposed to be. That's what that should look like. And so I was so grateful to have that moment of like, oh, this is it. I know what worship looks like now. I have to surrender all to Jesus, even my family and those I love the most. Jesus will teach me his pace as I'm yoked with him. That was just an image that one of the speakers talked about with Jesus saying, like, take my yoke upon you, my burden is easy and my burden's light. And that image of, I think it was Meg who had explained it to me, that like when an oxen when they're yoked together, there's that wooden thing that yokes them together, but that there's one that's a little ahead and the other one's following. And so that image just is stuck with me of if I'm yoked with Jesus, he's ahead, I'm following. I don't have to rush. I don't have to run. I can wait. And he can set the pace, and I can follow along with his pace. This is something that I think we all will recognize, fake fruit. One of the speakers talked about fake fruit, like how we try to produce our own fake fruit. We try to make ourselves look great on the outside when really our hearts are still dark on the inside. And how we're saying or doing the right thing to just please people, that can be a real trap. Especially for people who are trying to live for Christ, they want to act like it too, but we can't we can't force our way into being better. We have to let Jesus do it from the inside. And then that Jesus' grace is endless. He is always willing to start over with us. That was something else that struck with me, especially because I've been a believer for 20 years now, more than 20 years, and there are times where I feel like I shouldn't need grace anymore. Like, why am I still screwing up? Like, why am I still sinning? Why am I still messing up? I shouldn't be like that anymore. And the truth is, I will always be like that. But I think sometimes in my mind, I don't want to need grace. But if I don't need grace, then why did Jesus come? Why did Jesus die on the cross? So just a lot of really convicting things that I took away from Momentum. I have to say that I think it was one of the best weeks that I've had. I was so, and also hard. It wasn't just easy. I mean, we worked through stuff, right? Like, we worked through stuff this week. So it wasn't just easy, but I was so, so grateful for the privilege to get to go. So thank you.
And I do want to give one more thank you for you guys just supporting the youth, supporting everybody on the trip. It is a fantastic experience, and absolutely looking forward to next year's Momentum already. So thank you guys. Be praying for our youth as they are very full of God's Spirit right now, and so just be praying for them. And so with that, Children's Church of Smiths is dismissed.